So my self-worth seems to be connected to my accomplishments, how well I do my job, which is also a care profession, and how well I care for others in my relationships. And so I set very high expectations for myself to be fully present, responsive, compassionate. And so every social interaction, every work-related interaction takes me a great deal of energy, um, including a lot of anxiety and self-judgment. And every interaction or every thought or every behavior I leave either having proved my sense of self-worth to myself or having diminished it. And it's really not sustainable and really hard in many ways.
So you're naming it in a really clear way, that being hooked on your life, riding that roller coaster of either you're meeting a standard or not meeting a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I often will ask this right at the beginning. Can you say a little about how you're trying to work with that? Like what you're exploring with it thus far?
I'm asking myself, who would I be if I am not performing goodness? And what might I have to feel? And it feels really vulnerable, and I wonder if I might not be good enough and might be rejected.
So the way you've been going at it is to do an inquiry that gets you in touch with your fears of not enough and with the fears of the rejection that could come. And
That's
then
right.
what happens when you get in touch with that?
It feels really scary. It feels I in my most grounded moments, I can hold that with compassion and care, and say, you are good enough. You're doing your best, and your best always changes, and your best is always good enough. But a part of me still doesn't believe it unless I'm actually doing, like, performing ex- to this standard. Um,
Yeah.
so there
So
there is some care and compassion, but there's also a lot of doubt.
okay. So what I'm hearing though is that you know the process of being with that vulnerability and you can touch kindness, but there's a part that's very kind of much digs in its heels and isn't able to trust that it's going to be okay, isn't able to trust that you're intrinsically good enough in some way. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, would you like to do a little practice right now? Does that feel comfortable? If not, we don't have to. It's always
Ye-
just an invitation.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'll
Okay.
accept the invitation.
Yeah. So, if we were going to do a hand raise, and I said, how many of you, feel hooked on that same roller coaster? And how many of you have a part that just won't believe you're okay, you're good enough? I'm suspecting, well, why don't we do it for a moment just for fun? Gallery view now. We're seeing hands like crazy. So I'm looking through it. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. So I don't know. I'm just curious. What's that like to know you're touching a nerve that's so raw for so many?
I expected to see a lot, but not that many, actually. And so it felt validating.
So you know what you've done here to start off the satsang really is invite us into something that really matters to most every one of us. And I want to share personally that just this morning after meditating with my husband, with Jonathan, this is exactly the conversation we were having, just how we watch, our egos get, inflated and deflated and inflated and deflated and just the ride and how small it is and yet how hooked we are. So
Mhm.
in a way, the reason we're all raising our hands is because we're embedded in a society like a fish breathing water, that has standards and has basically equated our worth to meeting those standards, and we get fed them every day, consciously and unconsciously. So we're in it together. And so let's all of us let our attention go inward, because this is really for us all, and to take a moment to sense for you in your own life some situation where you sense that you're hooked, that's very, very obvious to you. It may be a situation recently where you didn't meet your standard, and it just brought out that rawness of this self is not okay. And
Hmm.
I can tell you have one in mind. Yeah. So it could be for any of you, it could be in a relationship, it could be in your work situation, it could be an addictive behavior, but it's the I'm not okay thing, that I'm not meeting my standard. And then take a moment now to let yourself get in touch with, and you might really let it be as close in as possible, the situation. So you really get in touch with how real that feels. That this isn't just a belief in our mind. There's a real feeling in the body of not okayness. Yeah. And you can keep your eyes closed, but I'll just ask you a couple of questions. Where do you feel that in your body?
Um, just below my right chest, there's like a hollowness there, and I also feel it behind my neck.
Yeah. So in a way, I'd like to see if you don't mind putting one hand behind your neck and one hand on the hollowness. And just as if you can do that comfortably enough. Yeah.
Hmm.
And and this is for all of you, wherever you feel it, just put some hands on, and just sense that the hands are, this is the beginning of your conscious and caring awareness, just keeping company with what's here.
Hmm.
Okay. And allow yourself to go more into it then. Just let yourself, like if I was going to speak directly to the part of you that feels not okay, let yourself go inside that, the part that's built up the evidence. And you might, and this is for all of you, if you're not comfortable doing this, don't, but if you are, even let your posture kind of express what it's like when you're inside that part. And you might even let your face do that. So there may be a grimness, a grim sat, or your shoulders might get hunched, whatever it is that it, and this again, if, to the degree you're comfortable. And so just feel that you're really sensing it. And if there's a belief that part has that's very clean, like here's the truth about me, you can just let your mind know that. It may be that I'm just fundamentally flawed, or no one will ever accept me, no one will ever love me, I can never meet the standard, whatever it is. And you don't have to say it out loud, but just sense what might be there, and what it's like in your body when you're believing that, what it's like in your body. And the question for you is, how long has that part been feeling like this?
Decades.
Decades. Okay, so for really as long as you can remember. Was there a beginning, or is it just as long as you can remember?
There's certainly childhood trauma. I was kicked out of my home when I came out as queer, and disowned by my community, and so I've had this sense of I was not good enough, or I wasn't good. So that's why.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so thank you for naming that, and let that part know that you're being aware of it, you're paying attention to it, this young part of you that came out and got rejected. And just say, I'm here, I'm paying attention. I'm here, I'm paying attention. And you can sense it's been there for decades. And can you sense how the feelings that it's had of not good enough have affected your life?
Mhm.
And just take a moment to sense, how has the experience of not enough, not good enough, something's wrong, squeezed your life? Whether it's to do with other relationships, or just enjoying your moments, or anything. And just take a moment, as if you're bearing witness to the landscape of your life, from like your soul is just bearing witness. This is what this has done, this belief and feeling. And as you do, just sense, what is your deepest wish right now? What do you wish?
To be loved.
Yeah. So that's the deep wish, is to feel that you're loved, to feel love coming in, to feel that this place in you really is embraced. Yeah. And if you sense from within this place that longing, what does this place imagine it would feel like, and where would it come from? What would be the source of that loving that would really matter and make a difference? If you could imagine it, just kind of let yourself imagine.
It feels like it's holding me. It feels like it's supportive. It feels like it can see me, and it says it's okay, happy.
Okay, so that young part of you really knows what it needs and wants. And
Hmm.
just imagine what you've just said, that it sees you. It's a presence, it's close in. It sees you, it understands, it cares. It's saying, it's all right. Really, really. And in this moment, perhaps more than ever before, notice what would be like to let it in, to really let it in. Just, yeah, yeah.
Welcome home.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Welcome home. Mm. So let your cells know what welcome home means. Just take your time, because this is all of us. Just let your cells know. Your heart, your spirit. Yeah. Yeah. And know that you can come back again and again. It's the nature of attention to return home again and again once you find your way. And really trust this is truth. This is your home.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend, for having the courage and also the generosity, because it's for all of us. How are you doing right now?
I'm I'm good. I'm sort of basking in it.
Beautiful. Well, bask away, and we'll keep going. And if it serves you to write or music, nature, something, take your time with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Blessings.